Hello everyone, Tina here for Papertrey Ink. I hope your day is going wonderful. I'm so glad you're joining me today. Today we're going to create a card. We're using the Window Garden stamp set. That's this one here. I love flowers and I love windows, and this is like the perfect combination. There's lots of building elements. We're going to use this on our card along with the coordinating die set. And then for my sentiment, I'm going to bring in one of the sentiments from the Garden Blessing stamp set. We're going to jump in and do some die cutting first. So I'm going to take my dies and some cardstock, and we're going to die cut out our watering can. And this larger flower here, there's a cute little flower pot, and then there's a little bloom. I kept them together, but I'll die cut that out. And then we need a leaf flourish, and I think this is going to be perfect for our card project. So we're also going to die cut out our flower box. Bring in some more white cardstock here. And then we need some window panes. I'm going to create 4 window panes, and I'm going to use, I'll just create one and then I'll do the rest off camera. But what I'm going to do is die cut out the window frame, and then we are going to do some stamping. So I'll run these through my die cut machine and I'll be right back. Everything's die cut. I'm going to bring in my stamping positioner, and we are going to first color in our flower box. So I'm just going to place this in the stamping positioner. For me, it's easier to die cut first. And then we will take our flower box. I have a wide variety of inks that we're going to use today, but for the flower box, I decided we're going to go with Hawaiian Shores. I'm going to go ahead and ink up the base layer. And we'll stamp this. For our second layer, I'm going to be using Blueberry Sky. And our flower box is done. Next, we're going to go ahead and take our building elements. We're going to start with our flower. I'm going to use berry sorbet for that. Next, I'll stamp my watering can, and for that I'm going to be using my soft stone ink. I'm going to stamp that a couple of times because soft stone is, well, on the softer side. We're going to go ahead and stamp our planter, and I'm going to use Classic Craft for that. And then we will stamp our leaf here. And I'm going to use spring moss. I'm going to do one with spring moss and then one with green, new leaf. Wonderful. And then we have our little flower bud here. I'm going to stamp that with Blueberry Sky. After we have these all done, there's a second layer to our watering tail, and I'm going to stamp that while we have this in here also. So I'm going to bring in Smoky Shadow. And we will stamp that on our, kind of distressing our water pail. The rest of these layers I'm going to go ahead and use an acrylic block with. I just think it's going to be easier. But I am going to take my window pane I'm going to add some adhesive behind here. And then we will take our window pane image. I'm going to line this up. And for our window panes, I wanted it bright and cheery. So I'm bringing in, I tried it with black. It was just a little too dark for me. So I cleaned off my stamp and we're going to use Lemon Tart for our window pane. And what I'm going to end up doing is die cutting out 3 more. And then we're going to create a background filled with window panes. I think that's going to be bright and cheery. To finish up our flower and our flower pot, now we're going to finish off our second layer to these smaller images. And I have the flower center here, and I'm going to use my honey nut ink for my flower center. We'll just stamp this. And then there's also some smaller flowers in here. I'm going to stamp 2 more of these flowers, but I'm going to use the smaller flower center just to mix it up a little bit. Okay, so that flower is done. I have our flower pot. We're going to take the secondary layer, and I'll take the same honey nut ink and we'll add our second layer. And then for this plant, I'm going to take this little piece that's right here, and I'm going to stamp that on the very bottom for our stem. And since I'm going to add these little flower buds to this plant, I'm going to actually add a couple more. Kind of customizing a little bit. I'm going to take my glue, add a little bit to the very bottom. We will go ahead and add our flower pot. And then I will go ahead and add that berry stem. We'll go ahead and add our berries. And I want to stamp 1 more of those also. So that's it. I'm going to continue and create 3 more of our window panes. I'm going to do a couple more of our little flower pots, but this time I'm going to create 2 flower pots with our spring moss and then 2 with our new leaf, and then I'll stamp a couple more of these berry sorbet flowers. And then we're going to put together a card. So all of my images are put together, and I put foam tape behind the window frame, and I also put some vellum behind here. So we have to do that. It's very easy. I'm just going to use my tape runner, add some adhesive behind our window. We're going to add our vellum, and then I'm going to take some foam tape and go around each of the edges. So we have our window panes, and then I took another piece of foam tape and put it behind our flower box, but I just put the foam tape on the very bottom. What we're going to do is fill in our flower box with our plants, and I'm just going to add some adhesive along the very top. And you'll notice this piece too. This is this flower in our window garden here, and then these are the little buds that I stamped. And I stamped I'm not sure if I'll use it or not, but I stamped the stem with honey nut, and then I used my orange zest for the berries. I wanted some bright colors, and I thought we may need a little bit of orange in there. Maybe. We'll see. Now, so I put adhesive behind here. Let's go ahead and fill in our flower box. I think that looks cute. I don't know if we may not need this. We'll see with this. So our flower box is full. I am going to add some of these flowers, but I'm going to pop these up with some small foam squares. And I think that looks really nice and summery. There's also some sentiments you can stamp inside of your flower box. There's two of them. One says Flower Garden, and then the other one is really pretty. It says Love Grows Here. I think that looks really pretty. I'm going to flip this over. We're going to add some more foam tape, evening it out. So when we place it on our background, everything is nice and level. Okay, I'm going to put this off to the side, and I'm going to work on our background next. I'll put these over here too. For my background, I'm going to bring in a piece of white cardstock, and I want a little more color behind the yellow. So to do that, I'm going to use my Hawaiian Shores Ink and my blending brush, and I'm just going to add some color along the edges. So now we have some color behind our panel. I'm going to adhere this panel to the front of an A2 size card base. And then we're going to take each of our window panes and we're going to center them on this panel here. I think that looks wonderful. I'm going to take my flower box and I'm going to place it a little bit lower than the center. Wonderful. Now with my watering can, I am going to add some natural twine. I'm going to just add some twine on the handle, and then I will tie a bow. Before I tie the bow, I like to adhere it down, so I'll just use a foam square to adhere this. And I'm not sure we need this. And it looks like I didn't need this flourish after all. So we're going to put that off to the side and save that for another card. Now we need another sentiment. And so for that, again, we're bringing in the Garden Blessings. And I love the sentiment that says, with abundant thanks. I'm going to stamp this with my True Black ink on some white cardstock. And I'm just going to use the leftover piece from our flower box here. I'll go ahead and use my scissors. We'll block this off. I went ahead and put some foam tape behind my greeting, and then we're going to go ahead and add this right underneath our flower box. And then I need some flower centers. For that, I'm going to bring in the Papertrey Rainbow Gems. And we will just add a few gems. And that will finish off my card today for Papertrey Ink. Such a lovely stamp set. I thank you so much for joining me. Have a fabulous day, and we will see you soon. Bye.